welcome to the Property Management Law Solutions Podcast. Here's your host, Attorney Tim Baldwin.
Nothing in this podcast was legal advice or creates an attorney-client relationship. Reach out to us at www.pmlawsolutions.com. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Property Management Law Solutions Podcast. Today, we are going to talk about a topic that so many people are talking about nowadays, and that is the subject of AI, or artificial intelligence, and particularly as it relates to property management operations, and the tools that are available and that people are now looking more deeply into. So with that, I want to introduce our guests today. We have two. The first is Scott Wilson, and the second one is Allison Boeshans. Did I say that right, Allison?
It's actually Boeshans. It's okay. Everyone pronounced it Boeshans. So like Boeshans.
Boeshans. My apologies. I figured I might get it wrong, so I apologize for that. But Allison,
okay.
All right. I'm not the first person.
Sure. Point the rest of my life is the last name.
That's okay. It's a cool name. All right. So I'm going to let Scott and Allison introduce themselves to the audience. So Scott, why don't you go first?
Yeah, sure. And my last name is really easy to say and remember. So no problems there if you ever want to look me up. My name's Scott. I work at the AI Partner. We're a growth consultancy. We basically work with people that have deep domain credibility in a wide range of professional services and local service business industries. And we take them from corporate roles, past businesses that they've done. We teach them AI implementation and client acquisition at the highest levels in order to help them start and scale their own AI agency, productized service-based businesses. So we partnered with Allison, considering her extensive property management background, which I'm sure she'll give you an insight into. And we're helping her scale PropLogic, which I'm super excited to talk about today.
I'm sure everybody is wondering if you're from, Florida or Alabama. I'm sure they're curious about that.
Yeah, proper American accent over here. I'm from the UK, as you might have been able to tell. Originally from Cambridge, just to Americans, it's on the outskirts of London. It's like an hour drive from London, which as far as the UK goes, is actually quite a long drive. For you guys, that's like popping to the supermarket. But yeah, I grew up in Cambridge, so immersed in AI, tech, startup culture from a very young age. And just continued that, made it my life, made it my work, very passionate about it. And just really, really love the space and talking about it more and more.
Very good. All right, Allison, your turn.
Yeah, so Allison Boeshans, as we established. My husband and I started the company PropLogic. I actually worked in the property management industry for almost 10 years. So if anyone's familiar out there with the Irvine Company, they're one of the largest privately owned real estate companies. So I worked there, managed about 1,000 units, also did commercial for a few years, about 1 million square feet of commercial space. In addition to that, I have my broker's license in California and Florida. I worked alongside many other property management firms, kind of gave me firsthand insight into all the operational challenges across the industry. I consistently saw pretty much all the same pain points, the inefficiencies, the manual processes, communication, which ultimately cost, companies significant time and money. So that experience led me to creating PropLogic, understanding that I think I can make a real difference here and help these companies.
Very good. So this topic is really near and dear to my heart because our law firm represents a lot of property management companies. And so obviously from our perspective, operations is a critical component to what our clients do and how we help them to understand, best practices, stay out of trouble, try to reduce liability, increase their efficiency. All those topics are really, really important to us. And so I was glad to meet Allison, I believe through LinkedIn, right, Allison?
Yeah, we connected. I mean, both of us were looking to network within the industry. And I think we both were sort of curious what each other did and ended up having a really lovely conversation and thought we could maybe work together in the future and help each other out. And here we are on the podcast.
Yeah, LinkedIn's great for that purpose, I think. So
Yes.
there's a shout out to whoever is responsible for that. So let's get into it. So AI. So everybody, knows about this pretty much now, unless you're living in a cave. So let's talk about how is AI relevant to property management? Do you think right now?
I would say most property management companies currently, they aren't really short on tools. They're really short on the clean, consistent workflow. So that's sort of the biggest issues. They deal with a lot of constant communication between owners, tenants, vendors, and the internal team. So that creates a lot of repeated work, missed handoffs, and inconsistent follow-up. So this is where AI kind of becomes valuable when those processes are a little more clear, but not before that.
Yeah. And Scott, by the way, feel free to, I typically just respond, just instantly in my mind as to what someone just said. But if you want to interrupt me, Scott, feel free.
Cool. Sounds good.
Go ahead, though. Go ahead, Scott.
Well, yeah, I would add to that. I think it's really important off the bat to address some of the fear around AI and why people are reluctant to implement it and kind of build on what Allison was saying there. And I think that the biggest reason is, one, it's brand new. It's, it's like the internet, it's like Bitcoin or whatever. And that's always, something that's novel will, increase fear. But the biggest thing about AI is it can take care of actual business processes for you. And for someone to, have a tool that takes care of a business process, you need to have immense confidence in it. And in relation to what Allison was saying there, and this is the big way that we approach it, is, human first and AI there to do things that human can't. But you can't bring AI in unless you have that clear process mapped out. And I think that's the one thing that everybody that's listening today, first and foremost, this podcast should be about clean processes, proper workflows, proper understanding of how your business operates, all of the edge cases. And then AI introduction isn't scary, is easy. And I think that's the theme that should run through the whole thing. It's human first, it's process driven, and AI should support where humans maybe drop the ball here and there from time to time.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, I think the knowledge and the experience of humans, right, can't replace much of what AI does, although AI, as you mentioned, is a great tool for processes, streamlining, shortcutting some of the tasks that you do a lot of. But let's compare, AI is a word that we use, and I'm sure that a lot of people don't quite understand how this thing works. But everybody is pretty familiar with like ChatGPT or Claude or whatever, some of these other AI programs. So when it comes to actually AI working for your business, how does that differentiate from just, say, using ChatGPT?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it's better to zoom out even slightly and compare automation and AI first, or even human doing something, automation versus AI. So human doing something, it's manual. I want to draft a document. Let's not say legal document. Let's say I'm drafting an email, because there's obviously a little bit of nuance around that. We can get into that down the line. Human does it, takes 30 minutes. Then you could hop onto ChatGPT, as I'm sure we all have, and you could draft it using AI. So it does the work for you. Now, with that, you're prompting it, you're telling it what to do, you're tweaking, you're asking. So that would be very simple, analogy of human versus AI. Where automation comes in is it just automates one of those processes. So what we could do as an example is we could automate you never needing to ask AI to write the email. The automation will tell AI to do it in the first place. So automation is the mechanism in which you tell one thing to do another. You connect one business system to another. AI is the implementation layer where it actually executes the work for you using, human-like intelligence. So you have like a human doing something is a human doing something. I don't need to explain that. Automation is, if this happens, then do this, and thousands of them across every business, of course. And then you have finally AI, which is where it will actually execute all of the thought-based work for you.
Yeah. And that's a powerful thing. Do you have anything to add on that one, Allison?
No, I think Scott said it pretty well. I mean, he's been doing AI for many years, so I nothing to add on that one.
He sounds so sophisticated too. As he said.
We can.
It's
just the accent, guys. It's just the accent. I don't know anything.
It's just a beautiful thing. So let's talk a little bit about like workflow confusion. So in the property management world, you have the beginning of the process, if you will. So you take on a property, you're looking at it, you're assessing what needs to be done. How do we get this rent ready? All the way through to listing, application, lease signing, maintenance, upkeep, all the way to the end of the lease, those processes. So where do you think the confusion comes in that a lot of property management companies have to deal with?
I think the highest or the biggest confusion areas would be maintenance coordination, owner updates. It's huge. Tenant communication, the vendor follow-ups. Like you said, the leasing renewals, internal escalations. This is kind of where these areas kind of lack clear ownership, consistent follow-up, and the visibility. So that's kind of where I've seen most of the workflow confusion for a lot of these companies that we can kind of come in and help them with.
I know you're familiar with the various tools that are out there that, they're designed to help you in the process. So like there's maintenance coordination apps, there's tenant communication programs, all these things. How does like what you guys do sort of differentiate with those other existing programs that are out there?
Let me take that one. Let me give a couple of different examples. So let's start at like ground zero, day one property management. You've just got like your first door. Let's take a maintenance request just because it's super easy to reference. Everyone will understand what the hell I'm talking about. So maintenance request comes in from the one door that you're managing and you see it, you contact the landscaper, you're following up. He goes in, he does the job, he comes back, there's invoicing, are we happy with the service? And that would just be managed in an email. It would be back and forth. The mental bandwidth of that process would be, is it done? Is it not done? Let me check in. It would be inconsistent. That's a super manual process. I'm sure we've all experienced that in the beginning, as we should, because we don't need to be layering in AI at that point. But then the next step would be, as an example, you produce some form of visibility. So email comes in, I see, great, this person needs landscaping. So awesome. Let's go on to our task management and we'll send the email and then we'll schedule a follow-up or, a series of tasks for ourselves so we can have visibility of the process, where things are at, and we can track it. So that's kind of like visibility. As you say, there's loads of apps that do that. We're not necessarily replacing that, although we do have systems that are integrated with AI more seamlessly to do that, because the big thing, in our space is integration is not always super easy with every individual system. It's quite a bespoke situation. Next would be, rather than, a human creating those tasks, you can automate that process. So for a maintenance request, someone might fill in a form, and it's all segmented. And then based on that, it triggers automations that create tasks, assign it to the right people in the business, the right, maintenance, landscapers, whatever it might be. That's not AI. That's just an if this, then do this statement. The final thing would be maintenance request comes in, AI reads the email, understands who's the person that's in this property, what do they need, who can help with that, who does it concern internally, and does all of that scheduling automatically. And not only will it not just schedule a task, but it will send an email saying, great, thank you so much. Nuanced information. It might have context on the person that's in that property. We know that you've been experiencing XYZ recently, so we're going to aim to get this done as quickly as possible. Then it messages the landscaper, we've got this issue, it's urgent. So it takes in all of the context that you can give to it and can write custom emails. And then not only that, but based on the internal processes that you would have mapped. So let's say it's an urgent inquiry, we need someone there within 48 hours or 24 hours. If that's not hit, it escalates, it's raised. And the AI can basically perform all of this on the back end. So that's kind of the reason I've gone through that there is because I want people to understand the different layers. Likely when I'm describing that, someone's gone, that's where I am in the process. Now, hopefully you understand what the next step might look like. And remember, that's just one workflow, and property management firms, I have no idea how many we really have. I think we've mapped it to around like 20 core, but then there's always nuanced ones with every individual client that we speak to.
Yeah. So it sounds, you're kind of describing a dynamic, responsive system. So you have there's protocol and there's systems that you can have that are pretty much static, but what you're describing with PropLogic is one that is responsive to the situation, so that you're not missing the gaps that are created by whatever the situation may be. There's tasks created for you. People are notified, so that system is moving with you in the circumstances.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that the big thing to note here is that, let's say we came into any property management firm on the planet, we wouldn't then say, okay, let's automate maintenance requests. What we always want to do in any business is orient around the 20% of things that are going to drive the 80% of results. So if we speak with you and we see that most of the time the problem is phone calls and answering messages, let's say all of your business comes through phone calls, you don't have many processes established just online via form, email and whatnot so far. So then rather than having an inbox triage where the AI looks, you can have a voice agent that can speak with people back and forth on the phone, do the same thing, depending on, what the situation is. But we find the things that are going to basically reduce operational drag as much as possible, give you as much time back or your employees as much time back. And we start there. But then there's the 3 phases. So you actually map the SOP, and then we give visibility to that SOP being established. Then we would layer in automation, and then we would bring in heavy AI. So it's not, okay, we found the one thing, let's, stick an AI receptionist in, like everyone will have heard on Instagram, how you can sell them for $10,000. No, that's not how it works. There's a process to it. And often what we do, as much as, yes, we're AI automation experts, it almost kind of teeters on the edge of management consultancy and making sure that it's done in, a proper professional way.
So this next question, I suppose, is to Allison, but if someone's listening to this and they're questioning whether they think this is a good fit for them or whether they need it or not, because, obviously when you're talking about a product you're paying money for, you always ask the question, is it worth it? Right. So what do you think are some signs or some indicators that someone who's in this business, in the property management business, could that would indicate that they do need this, that this would be an excellent tool for them to improve their operations?
Yeah, I think we always like to start off with what we call a discovery call. And most of the companies that I do speak with, they do have the operation issue that Scott was referring to, that a lot of them don't have the clear SOPs or workflows. So that's something that we can go in and obviously assist them with, and to help them define the workflows, the ownership of task, and then kind of where the human review would come in. And generally, generic AI doesn't always work. I know a lot of property management companies are really looking into all these different AI programs, but there's not really a one size fits all. And that's kind of where we came in, because every property management company is different. They don't all, they do in a way kind of automate the same, but then they also have different owners, different tenants, different portfolios, different processes. So that's where we come in and kind of help them define that, clear it, and deliver these fully customized systems for them.
Is there a hierarchy of tasks that you would say should be focused on first when it comes to just identifying what's the most important things first?
I'd say it depends on the company. I'd say the biggest wins probably come from the simple, repeatable tasks. Follow-ups, reminders, any sort of task creations, owner update prompts, vendor check-ins, leasing follow-ups. Generally the boring flows is kind of where most of the time is lost.
Yeah, I would add to that the most painful ones, whatever they might be. And for each business, it's very different. So as an example, we spoke with one the other day, and to be fair, pretty good operational systems, better than the average person that we speak to. Maintenance was dealt with quite well. A couple of mistakes here and there, a couple of costly mistakes where they would send someone out that didn't need to be sent out, and then you're paying for it. So we cleaned that up quite quickly. But the big one with them was, okay, we've got people in the properties or in between having people in the properties. How much can we bump that rent by according to, the area and what the sort of like going rate is, let's say. And with that, we had a custom dashboard with every single property that they had on, with essentially an AI system that would let them know when it might be time to increase rent based on standards, not based on feelings, not based on what you've seen on, the sites that you browse at 9 p.m. at night in bed and you're thinking, oh God, I could be charging more for this. Mm-hmm. But, based on math and based on logic and the economy and the market. So that was an example of a business that was way later down the line. And the big thing was, okay, operations are dialed. We do have a good system, but one of the biggest bottleneck to them scaling was we don't actually know, or we do know, but we don't think we're charging enough for what we're doing. And that's one of the big places that they had lacked, and the owner wanted visibility of that. So that was exactly what we gave them. And this is the thing, I think each business is so different, and the person that's experiencing the most pain could just be, the onboarding manager, or it could be the owner and having visibility of what's going on the team. But I always like to orient around, let's find the person in the business that almost acts like the nervous system for the business, that anything goes wrong, everyone goes to that person. Sometimes it's the owner, sometimes it's a leasing manager. Find that person and speak to them, and usually you'll get the best insights.
So we all heard the adage, garbage in, garbage out. And so with an AI, responsive system that's taking information that it's receiving, it's doing something with it. How or what is the best way to train that AI throughout the system?
Yeah, it's a great question. Well, I think it varies depending on what we're trying to do. But as we've kind of iterated so many times already, it's the SOP. So you can train it on the SOP, you can train it on the process. You can have checklists that first within the visibility-based system are manually completed, but in the background, the AI is being trained on how long does it take between each checklist, each item on a checklist. Typically, maybe that's, moving someone into the new property. How quickly do we get through the 50 things that we need to do to make sure that goes smoothly, or taking someone out, changing locks, whatever it might be. And you can train the AI as humans do that manually in the background. And that's often we'll almost have like a training and SOP build out process before we switch to something that will automate and will actually, ease demands on the team. Or if someone has really cleanly mapped processes when we first speak to them, like the firm that we spoke to the other day, they had a knowledge management hub with hundreds of SOPs. So in that case, it was way simpler. We can literally just train the AI on that upfront, but then we still need to map out clean databases, clean systems to make sure it can execute upon the knowledge that it's just gained. I would say it's like you teach someone how to make the best sandcastles ever, and then you put them on some tarmac and say can you make me a sandcastle? It's not going to work. So this is where you can train the AI really well, but you need to put it in the right environment with the right system. They might use one CRM or another, and then they have AppFolio on the back end, and we have to look at that all in one place and produce their own sandbox, so the AI and the employees can build the best sandcastles. I don't know where that came from, but it kind of explained it pretty well.
I like the analogy. That's good. That kind of leads me to this part of it. And Allison, you're a real estate broker in different states. And obviously from the standpoint of practicing law, we're responsible to know Florida law and Florida procedures and all these things. So when you're dealing with property management companies that are in different states, different jurisdictions, different rules can apply. Like your standards of operations can be different based on legal requirements. So speak to that a bit. How can the system that you guys have take into account the variations of laws and such?
Well, yeah, that's what we do on our calls, and kind of understand, where they are, what they're doing currently with their operations. Because like you said, every property management company is different. There are different states and laws. So we have to find that out, right? There are different portfolios. There's different processes. So this is where we come in, speak with them, understand everything, and we deliver these fully customized systems to them, and we support their unique, essentially their unique workflows and goals. So the workflow must drive the solution, not the other way around.
What are some of the, I guess, give me a story. Like, give me a story of someone that you've spoken to. They had all these problems. You came in, you helped them, and then they had some kind of a success story. I want to hear something along that line.
Yeah, I mean, Scott, I don't know if you want to speak on this at all when you were coming in and helping me with a couple of these companies, but the biggest thing was the SOPs, like we talked about, right? I mean, understanding the processes, the daily operations, where the communication's breaking down, where the tasks are being missed, what the team is repeating, that's constant repetitive task, and where the visibility is lacking. So that's where we really go in. And like I said, each company's different, but we can go in there, help them understand, help them build those SOPs for them to be successful, build those automation layers, and make, save them time, energy, and money.
See, I think that's the thing. Allison sits through onboarding call and implementation call and building call time after time. So the way that Allison thinks through it is so granular, which is amazing because that's her role. I think I get to probably see more of like the helicopter view of the transformations. And I think that the biggest thing is that operations is often the biggest bottleneck within the space. Sure, we've worked with people on the front end as well. It could be helping with lead conversion to actually, get people into units or get people into conversations and then close them on the units. Kind of a simpler problem. But for the most part, it's operations that is the bottleneck. And obviously, once you've fixed the operations and that you can scale with, as an example, one way that you can map it, and we haven't got a unanimous number across the space yet. This is something that we're working on. But basically, how many employees are in the business and how many doors do you manage? And I think that the big thing is like, if for every X amount of doors you take on, you need to take another employee on, that hurts margin. And what we want to do is we want to increase the number of doors within a business versus the number of employees that are in that business. And if through good operational workflows you can do that, you can scale a whole lot quicker because your margins are way better. And I think at the end of the day, like that's the biggest thing. That's why people start businesses. We want to help people. You're paid in proportion to the value that you provide. And through fixing operational workflows, like we've done for so many people now, ultimately, like the second order consequence of that is they can scale way quicker. They can scale in a way that is maybe, above industry standard year on year, because they are so operation heavy businesses.
So is this, PropLogic, is it designed for a specific type of property management company or size of property management company? Can you speak to that a bit?
Go ahead, Scott.
Yeah, I wouldn't say too specific. We're still pretty early in this journey, to be frank. Like we've started to help a lot of people, and we've seen the journey quite a few times now. But for the most part, because what we do is custom, it doesn't matter too much. That said, I would say probably like teams sub 40, like 40 or 30 employees, around that mark is where this makes the most sense at this point. And likely because they have a lack of, really robust established processes. But we spoke with many people that are across different situations, and we've also spoke with people that have been able to keep it lean, but more so just through owner competence. So they just are literally very competent, very hot on it, working crazy hours. And it's like, okay, I want to build a team, bring a team member on now. But again, in that scenario, the owner is the person that the business relies on their nervous system. And it's how do I do that? So we've worked with people that are, a two-man band, and then all the way up to like 20 to 30. I would say somewhere in that region. But honestly, right now, I think I'll speak on behalf of both Allison and I and PropLogic. Like, we want to speak to everyone in the space, anyone that, anything that we said resonates with. get in touch, because, you know, we learn, you learn, we can share what works. Even if we don't end up working together, it's a valuable conversation for everyone.
Yeah. It sounds like, I mean, when I hear you speak of these, the applications here, my mind thinks of, well, this would be great for startup, but it would also be great for a large company that has lots of properties that they manage across an entire state or region. Allison, anything to add there?
Yeah, 100%. A lot of these small changes can create massive results, right? I think a lot of these companies, they're very overwhelmed. They don't have a lot of time. And this is what we want to give them back, is their time. And that's what I see. I mean, I worked in the industry for so many years, and it can be exhausting. So that is why, you know, when I saw these pain points, I was like, we have to do something. I mean, I think that AI is the future, especially in the property management. And if it could save you time and money, like, why would you not do that? So it doesn't have to be an overwhelming system. It could be something that aids and can give you back some of your time, which is what all these property managers, tell me all the time. They're like, I just want time back. It's, you know, I'm working hours and hours a day. And so this is what we can help them with.
Yeah. Well, again, as I said at the beginning of the podcast, this kind of topic is near and dear to my heart, and because I see it all the time, you know, with clients that we represent, and that you can tell, you can just see that, man, they're having pain points, they're having problems with operations, and not because they're not trying, and it's not because they don't want to do a good job. It's just because that this business is just such a high demand business. You've got tenants you got to deal with. You got owners you got to deal with. You got vendors, insurance, attorneys. I mean, you know, you're dealing with so many pieces of this process that all have a significant impact on what you do in your job. So having tools that assist you in the right way, to me, is critically important. And just so that everybody knows, they're not paying me to say anything here to promote their business. I'm not like sponsoring here, but you know, when you see a good tool that could help your target market, your people that you help out a lot, it's encouraging to see that there are things like this out there. So why don't you give us a last little plug, or just information about PropLogic, so that people can reach out to you, learn more about it, set up a time to talk to you, and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think for all the listeners out there, right? I think if anything that we talked about today resonates with you, I mean, I think it's time to take a look at some of your systems, right? Because I had mentioned before, a lot of these small changes can create massive results in saving you time and money. And I think a lot of property management companies are very reactive, and we're trying to make it proactive and not overwhelming for them. I think with the right systems in place, it can be efficient, it can be scalable, and actually enjoyable, right? Because we all know how stressful property management is. So that's what we focus on here at PropLogic, is just helping companies run smarter, not harder.
Good. Scott?
Yeah, and just reflecting, actually, really, really awesome chat. I think the biggest thing, and this kind of comes from my time, like living in Cambridge and whatnot, everyone's looking for like the new thing, the new idea, and, you know, AI to some extent is that. But I'm very much of the opinion that you can take an existing service or business that someone else has run, and you can make it, like, do everything that they do twice as quick, twice as easy. Take Amazon as an example, in the way that they have started delivering parcels across the world. You know, we could never get anything within 24 hours or even less. It's a really boring process, but they've done it amazing. And I think that the lens that property management firms should look at it through is your product is your operations, and it is your workflows. That is your product. And if you want to be better than the competition, you should aim to just do everything that everyone else does in, you know, twice as quick of way, or twice as easy, for, you know, your clients, for the contractors that work with you. And if you do that, you will be incredibly successful.
Excellent. Wonderful. How can anybody get a hold of you guys?
Well, I have a website, PropLogicSolutions.com. And they could also reach out to me. Our direct phone number is 850-990-4315. And email Allison at PropLogicSolutions.com.
Great. And we'll have that information in the notes as well. And I just want to say thank you both, Scott and Allison, for joining me on this podcast. I've greatly enjoyed it. We'll probably have you back if you don't mind.
Yeah, we would love it. Thank you for having us. This is an exciting time, and I just think it's going to grow this year. Everyone's very interested.
Anytime.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. Thanks, Scott. Thanks, Allison, so much. And thank everybody for listening to the podcast. Just follow us, like us, whatever you got to do on social media. Share the episode. And again, if you are a property management company or a property manager, feel free to reach out to PropLogic. I'm sure they will love to talk to you about how they can help you. All right. As always, thank you, everybody. And you have a good one. We'll see you on the next show.